First and foremost, thank you. I know how precious your time and attention is, so I'm just going to get right to it in this video. We're going to talk about 3 things that are going to help you push past those ceilings that your agency is facing right now. And I know this, and I'm confident in this because we're doing this every single day at our agency. In fact, I had to go back to the drawing board this past year during COVID and relaunch an agency, and we have pushed past 7 figures in our first year. And I'm going to share exactly how we did that through these 3 pillars and why it's so important. Let's get into it. I have to start with a very quick story about how we found ourselves relaunching an agency amidst the COVID pandemic. This super uncomfortable picture that you're looking at right here is me being applauded on the day that I came in to sign the paperwork of the acquiring agency that actually bought my agency at the end of 2018. Back in 2017, I was able to build and scale and sell my SEO agency because of the amazing processes that we built. These processes allowed us to get consistent results, streamline hiring and training of staff. We were just a machine. We were amazing at taking a complex service that's SEO and distilling it into very simple processes that could be followed by pretty much anyone and get results for pretty much anyone as well. So naturally, this made us attractive for acquisition by another agency. And that's exactly what happened. And I spent 2 years with the acquiring company on the executive board. And at one point, we were managing almost 45 staff. We got big. It's a great company, great agency. But at the end of 2019, we had just grew apart. We had different visions for where the company wanted to go. So we decided to untangle the purchase agreement. Now, the terms of the agreement were simple. I got the rights back to run an SEO agency in the open market, but I couldn't take any staff and I couldn't take any clients. So I essentially had to start over. Now, we all know what happened in early 2020, COVID hit. And I had arrogantly thought in my mind that because over the last 2 years when I was with that company too, I was able to pursue other endeavors. I actually built and sold 2 internet companies during that time too. So I'm sitting here thinking like, man, all I needed is to get the rights back. I know how to do SEO. I got my processes done. It's not a big deal. I can just turn on some ads and boom, I'll have a 7-figure agency again. That wasn't the case at all. COVID had much different plans. See, what COVID really did is it shifted the needs and the demands of the market. There's still a huge need for SEO and agencies, but how you deliver it, how you package it, how you position yourself is everything right now. In a weird sense, COVID was a blessing for our business because it forced us to go back and really evaluate the value that we are providing the market. And this is how I developed these 3 pillars. And after applying these 3 pillars, positioning, productization, and marketing, we're crushing it. We're on pace to do 7 figures this year after applying these and way more. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down each one of these 3 pillars and I'm going to show you how you can apply them to your agency. That's it. Let's get into it. But real quick, before we get into the content here, I just have to tell you that I am an agency coach and consultant. While I run my own agency, I also help other agencies grow and scale through these 3 pillars and other things too. We help agencies build sales teams, build teams, hiring, everything that you need. We are here to help you as coaches and consultants. If you want to talk about that, there's a big button below. You can chat with me one-on-one. We can talk all about you, your agency, your problems, your pain points, and if we'd be a good fit to partner up. That being said, let's just get into this. So I want to talk about positioning. This is pillar number 1 here. And what this is all about is uniquely qualifying your agency's value in the market. As I alluded to before, what I realized was that I was like these gentlemen here when we relaunched our agency. I thought I was cool. I thought I was standing out, but in reality, it was a sea of sameness. I had the same value proposition, and most agencies are doing the same thing, especially in the SEO space. They're trying to compete with a similar broad position based on services. We do SEO, we do Facebook ads, we do pay-per-click, we do website design, especially when you're trying to stack services. If you're doing less than like 100K a month and you're trying to stack multiple services, it's a bad idea. Why? Because you become a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And also, if you don't have a team built out to deliver something else, if you have clients coming to you, they're like, hey, Ryan, you did great with SEO. Can you build this website? And you're like, yeah, sure. I could use the money. So let me go find someone to do this and build you a half-assed website that breaks my processes, that breaks my focus, that breaks everything down in the agency and forces me to stop my focus on our core element, aka the problem that we're solving in the market, and go try and do something else. You might be getting paid for that, but you're losing money. Trust me on that. So especially when you're doing, again, less than like 100K a month, less than 50K a month, Focus is key. Focus on your position in the market, who you service, what pain points they have, and solving those pain points. If you can do that, I promise you got $1 million business on your hand. But when you try and do too much, you end up doing really nothing, and you're not that great at it, and you never do a good job, and you're never going to grow as much or as fast as you could. So I promise you, if you're in a situation where you're offering too many services, or you think that you have to be full service, you don't. Especially now post-COVID, companies want to hire an agency that is a specialized sniper in solving their problems. And if you can do that, you can also command and charge top dollar for that. Another one is based on pricing. If you're trying to offer lower prices than everyone else, it's a race to the bottom. It's just not something you want to compete on. So I just alluded to this. Most agencies are competing on a similar position when instead they should be positioned to solve specific problems for specific clients. So what clear positioning really means to me is also reduced friction. Friction in a business is bad. I like streamlined. I like congruent. I like consistent. It makes running the business much easier and scaling it even easier. So quickly, let's talk about some benefits of what a clear position does. So it helps you to stand out. It clearly defines who you are and the value you offer your clients. It establishes authority. You can easily become the go-to source of information in your market. I love using this example of Kindlepreneur. A friend of mine, his name is Dave Chesson. A couple of years ago, he started a blog that was all about how to rank Kindle books in the Amazon Kindle store. He's now got a multi-million-dollar SaaS business that's built off the back of that, and he is the go-to source of information for anything publishing in the Kindle store. It makes acquisition so much easier. Getting new clients is so much easier if you are only servicing that type of client. If you only service attorneys and you have a ton of case studies for attorneys, it's going to make them much easier to want to come and work with you. It makes targeting your marketing campaigns easier. If you're only servicing dentists, you can target dentists with Facebook ads and run ads saying, look at these 10 other case studies where I've gotten more traffic and clients for dentists. It's super easy. You can build a track record with peers. There's less competition. Also outside acquisition. If you've got a niche agency, something that's, again, knows how to solve a specific pain point for a specific type of client, it becomes very attractive for outside acquisition. Operations are easier. It reduces costs and redundancies. If you're familiar with Lean Six Sigma, it's essentially the process of reducing waste and redundancies in manufacturing. It's a similar concept that can apply here because when you're solving the same problem for the same type of clients, you're able to standardize your process for what you're doing for clients. And then you can focus on reducing the waste and redundancies, aka continuously improving your process for that specific client. It makes hiring a lot easier, reduces the amount of roles. It can be a highly specialized workforce. We only have 2 roles in our agency right now. We have an SEO specialist and a content specialist. And within those, because we're doing the sprint model that we're going to talk about a lot more throughout this video, they're only doing a couple things. So we're not asking them to do too much. We're asking them to come in and solve, again, very specific problems with very specific deliverables that we've got pre-templated. We've got training laid out for them. We've got a training ecosystem for them to work in. It's super easy for us to find, train, and nurture talent internally. And then it also reduces the PIA, aka the pain in the ass factor. It really allows you to pull yourself out of the business and focus on the big rocks. A lot of you are stuck doing client work. A lot of you are stuck doing sales. A lot of you are stuck doing business development. If you have the right position, you can pull yourself out of that and you can focus on the business, not in the business. I know it's cliche, but it's true. So I get a lot of these objections a lot too from people who want to fight me on picking a position. I don't want to give up current customers. You don't have to, right? When we moved to this sprint model away from the 12-month retainers, we didn't fire our 12-month retainer clients. We just either let the contracts lapse, and then at the end of the contracts, we went to them and said, hey, look, we want to keep working with you. We're going to save you money by not having to put you on a 12-month retainer. Here's our sprint offering. Or we just kept them on it because it was a good fit. Because the beauty of positioning is you don't change your service based on your position. You're taking what you're already doing and you're just repackaging it in a way that's better for your customer. So our sprint model is the exact same project plan that we're running for 12-month clients. It's just delivered on a different cadence. That's it. And we're actually charging more for it, which I'll show you in a minute. I don't want to turn away potential customers. So first and foremost, if you're not in a position to help them, right? This goes back to the example that I was using on the previous slide where I was talking about how a client comes in and they're like, you did great with SEO, build me a website. And you're like, yeah, I can do that because I need the money because I'm desperate for the money. But if you're not in a position to help them, then they shouldn't be a customer. If you don't build websites, you shouldn't build them a website. Just because you know someone or you can go find someone to do it, they're probably not going to do the greatest job. That's not what's best for the client. It's always about what's best for the client. So another very simple solution is just refer work out, build a referral network. When people come to me for paid ads all the time, because we're spending 6+ figures a month on paid ads, they want me to run their paid ads. I tell them we don't do that. That's not what we do. But I got a partner over here who's amazing at it, and I take a 20% cut of whatever they close. So now we're getting 20% straight profit for just doing nothing and doing what's best for the client by referring them to someone who can actually handle and service their needs. And those referrals will come back to you the other way as well. Another one is I don't want to get stuck in a position that I can't get out of. So you have the ability to level up as you grow. So for example, if you start by only working with coffee shops, that's your position. You get to the point where you feel like you've scraped the market, you've done all that you can. there's two things that you can do. Number one is you can tack on back-end offers. The other one is to then just level up your market, right? So if you're only working with coffee shops and you've mastered like the local SEO process, then you can start doing maybe chain SEO. So only working with coffee shops that have 10 plus locations. That right there is a way to level up. Only doing franchise SEO, right? There's constant ways that you can continuously level up, but you got to crawl before you can walk. A lot of you want to start working with enterprise companies, but have never really gotten results or built a reputation with small companies. First, start there, exploit that market, and then level up. And I promise, as you push yourself to go through these processes, you're going to learn more and you're going to be ready to work and level up as you go through it. So I want to talk quickly about 4 ways to position your agency. And this is something that we talk extensively about in Blueprint Platinum. That's our coaching program. We really go through you one-on-one and find out how you can really apply this to your business. So number 1, positioning is by industry. So B2B, SaaS, e-commerce, doing just local SEO, etc. A good example of this is GoInflow. They only do e-commerce SEO. It's a good website to check out for context. Another one is going to be niche industry. So coffee shops, CrossFit gyms, lawyers, home supply stores. A good example of this is rankings.io. They only work with personal injury attorneys. They only do SEO. They crush it. This is one that you've probably seen floating around in like Facebook groups and whatnot. Really folks that are just like calling it niches, but I'm doing this to walk you through so you see that it's more than just picking a niche or picking an industry. There's other ways. There's other business models that you can develop. Like a specialized service. So specialized service, for example, is just going after really like one pillar of a service. So content marketing, link building, international SEO, mobile SEO. Siege Media is a great example of this. What they've done is they've solved a massive problem in the market for companies who don't need technical SEO, but they need kind of like authority building in the SERPs, but then also good content. So what they did is they built a service around putting together like a really good content asset and then doing PR style outreach off the back of that to get a bunch of links to it. They crush it. They're going to do 10 million this year in revenue. And that's pretty much all that they do. They found they found a great hole in the market for companies that, didn't need a whole like technical evaluation. They just needed content and some links, but the traditional method of doing content and link building was garbage. So they exploited that and they built the process around it and now they crush it. So there's a ton of ways that you don't have to, I tell people all the time to focus on one service, but like there's services within SEO that you can build a $10 million business around: link building, content marketing, outreach, all these different things that you can really, again, specialize and exploit. But it goes back to what the customer needs, right? Siege just didn't say, hey, companies need links and content, so we're just going to put together, some content from Fiverr and buy links. No, they went and they solved the problem at the highest quality level. And that's really what you want to start thinking about too, is that it's about what they need and doing what's best by your customer at the best of your ability and turning that into a process, which we'll talk about in Pillar 2. So the final one here is a productized service. So this is where our sprint model comes into play. I love productized services. I actually think this is really the future of the service-based business, especially for agencies. There's a ton of different ways that you can do this. We'll talk more about our sprints again as we go through this. Another one is our website quality audit. So this is an audit that we developed that is really, really good for companies that need a little bit of technical SEO. They also need some SEO strategy. So we developed this audit that tackled that and we productized it into something that's scalable and repeatable, literally into a checklist. We actually turned it into software too, which is pretty cool. But now we're able to run this scalably and repeatably. We're able to brand ourselves in the market for being able to do this and going around the problems that it can solve for folks. And what we actually do is we use this as what we call a tripwire. So we'll sell this for $5,000 to get people in. And then this audit will, of course, uncover 10 more issues. And then after they trust us, they like working with us, then we'll tack on that back end offer for 10, 15, 25K to do the rest of the SEO for the website. So another one that I really love here is a done with you, DWI versus done for you. A lot of agencies are completely DFY. This is, again, something that's being broken within the industry, thinking that you have to do everything for everyone. So when we get into the next pillar and talk about offer design, I'm going to show you how this can fit in, because again, it's all about doing what's best for them and what they need, but sometimes you can't deliver all that. So there's an alternate service model that can help you deliver that without completely blowing your mind and having to try to do everything, which is going to force you to do kind of low quality work off the back of that. Another one is service as a software. So software as a service, SaaS is a traditional business model that you already know about. Pretty much any monthly recurring software that you're using, Ahrefs, SEMrush would be considered SaaS. What I really love about what Design Pickle's done is they've built software to facilitate their service, to make it easier. So for their onboarding, basically what they do is they do graphic design, and they do it at a monthly package. And they've streamlined that and taken out a lot of headache by building software to help that out. This is some really advanced stuff. Wouldn't recommend a lot of folks in the beginning stages use about it. But again, I'm just here to help you spurn some ideas and see what else is out there. An example that I love is Case Study Buddy. A friend of mine, Joel Kletke, he's one of the world's best B2B copywriters. He started a company where all they do is case studies for B2B companies. They run the interviews, they put together the content, they put together the case studies for companies. It's a productized service. It's amazing, and they're crushing it this year as well. So also too, I think that's important is that there's overlap in between these different types of positioning strategies that you can use. You don't have to just pick industry, just pick niche industry, a specialized service or productized service. There's really overlap in looking at things that you can do. Like Case Study Buddy, for example, is a productized service, but they only service the B2B industry. So what they've done here is they've taken the productized service and they overlaid it on here too. So when they say there's riches in the niches, it's really about exploiting things all the way down, because the further down the hole you go, the more specialized that you are, the more targeted the problem that you can solve is. And that doesn't necessarily mean that there's less money in it. Actually, sometimes that you can charge a lot more, because when you really understand what the problem is, that problem is anchored against the cost to that prospective client. So we're talking about pricing strategies. If you're able to solve a specific pain point and you know how much that's costing them, both in opportunities and then in physical cost too, you can anchor your pricing against that and charge just less, so you can solve that problem and actually save them money in their eyes. It's a beautiful thing when you have this laid out, but it starts with understanding your positioning and the problem that you're solving for your prospective client. So just running through some examples of well-positioned agencies, mariehaynes.com. She's amazing. She does these site quality assessments in her whole. There's another concept that we'll talk about towards the end of this, which is congruency, right? Congruency meaning all these three pillars, when they align, you're congruent. So what she's done a great job of is picking her position. She is known as the algorithm update expert. If you get hit with an algorithm update, it's like Marie Haynes Consulting comes to mind. Why? Because she has a product offering for it. She's positioned herself for it. She's got a productized service, the site quality assessment that she charges up to $5,000, starting at $5,000 for. And then when it comes to her marketing, she's got a podcast. She's got a newsletter that's really focused on algorithm shifts and updates. So she's got this nice congruent business where she's positioned to help companies with algorithm updates and traffic loss due to that. She's got a productized service that will get people in at a very low cost, and then tons of back-end offers, I'm sure, off the back of that. And then she's marketing it with a podcast and blog post where she's talking about algorithm updates and how to adjust to these for your website. So she's congruent across her business. It's a beautiful thing. Another one, as I mentioned, is rankings.io. They're a niche industry. They're targeting, again, personal injury firms. Again, not just law firms, personal injury firms. They went all the way down. They targeted them, and I think they're going to do $4 million a year off of like 25 clients. They're crushing it. Chris is a friend of mine too. A ton of content on him within the blueprint as well. Awesome dude, and an awesome company as well. Really good to look at. Repurpose House is a productized service. Really love this. What they do here is they take one piece of content for you and they'll cut it up into multiple different pieces for multiple platforms, right? They'll put like these bars on it. They'll put like captions on it. They'll put it for vertical for Instagram stories. But what they do is they built this really streamlined productized service, again, where they charge you a package per month for like 10 pieces of content, where they'll take the content that you have and they will do all the work in a very streamlined process for them to just cut this up and repurpose it. So this is a really good example of productized service. So when it comes to the how, we don't really have time to go through it right now, but this is something that we work one-on-one with our clients with. We have a couple of workbooks for you to fill out that really dig into who you are, who your core customer could be, and just answering a bunch of questions. Then we'll work with you one-on-one to come up with some positioning ideas, and we'll help you vet it, both kind of like the economics of how it would work, the viability in terms of the marketing, the demand for this type of service. We'll work with you one-on-one with our coaches to really help you pick and solidify your position. Again, if you want to talk about that, you can hit the button below and we can talk more about your agency. So now let's go into offer building. So offer building is a concept that's really more prevalent, I think, in kind of like the info marketer and paid traffic space, but really not in the organic SEO space at all. Nobody has an offer. When I ask people what their offer is, people are like, I don't, what do you mean an offer? They think they're like, I get an ebook. That's not what an offer is. An offer is, once you've defined your position, an offer is how you communicate that value to your position. So don't confuse a marketing offer with your business offer. A marketing offer, like I said, is like an ebook, a webinar, a checklist, a template. A business offer, aka your back-end offer, is something, again, that helps you. It's a statement that helps you communicate what your value proposition is to the market and to the position in the market. So, for example, we help software companies increase signups from Google using SEO sprints. We're going to break this down more in a second. So an offer, as I said, is how you communicate your positioning, your value to the market. It aims at capturing how we will solve problems and pain points of our target customer. So your offer is not what you're doing for them. We talked about this a little bit before, right? SEO, pay-per-click, design. You go to somebody's website and it just lists out everything that you do. That's not your offer. That's what you do. It's also not what they are getting, the number of articles, the number of ads. It's also not what you're charging. Those are not offers. Your offer is the output or the result or the benefits from working with you. Bonus points if you can get them to know how they will feel from working with you, tapping into what they're feeling. Do not confuse features with outputs. This is an epidemic in the agency space. We do SEO, we do this. You're going to get link building, you're going to get 10 articles. People don't really care about that. Those are more sales conversations. What they care about is where you're going to take them. How do you take them from where they are to where they need to be? From unhappy, not getting leads, what they're feeling, especially feeling FOMO, feeling, seeing their competitors rise up the ranks. That's a feeling that evokes something in them. And when you can tap into what people are feeling, you can tap into their emotions, you can get them charged up. And when you get them charged up, you can drive them into action a lot easier. So marketing, right, and your offer is all about output, right? And we're going to unpack this in a second. It's not about the features or the benefits. Those are sales conversations. After somebody's interested in your offer, then you can unpack what they're going to get for it. You're going to get 10 articles. Those are sales conversations. But on the front end, and when it comes to marketing and when it comes to getting in front of your customers and your prospects, it's all about the outputs. So offer design is something that we also unpack very, very, very heavily in Platinum. It's something we work on one-on-one. I want to run you through it real quick because it's very, very impactful stuff. So very simple model, this little railroad track model, if you will, starting with a pain point, ending with a happy client, right? So starts by identifying what their pain point is, and then very simple 3 to 5 roadblocks for what you need to do to help them to get from where they are with their pain point to a happy client. Sounds overly simplified, but let's walk through a model here. Let's say, for example, you're an agency owner. Your pain point is you want to get to 6-figure months. And this is exactly what we went back to when we were redesigning the blueprint training and building our coaching programs. We really looked at you as an agency owner. How do we take you from where you are now, right? Which is 10, 25K a month, 5K a month, 0K a month to 6-figure months, right? That's your pain point. Taking you up here would make you a happy client. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to help you pick a niche. We need to help you build your position in the market. The next thing is help you productize your service, build something that's scalable and repeatable. And then finally, get steady leads. If we can do these 3 things with you, then you will make 6 figures a month. I promise you. It's a fact. I've done it multiple times with agencies and I've done it with hundreds of clients now as well. These are for us as the blueprint. This is what our offer becomes. So then what we do from here is now it says we help agencies go from 5 clients a month to 50 clients a month using our 3-pillar framework. Do you see how that works? That's our offer. That's our offer statement. We're going to talk more about that in the next slide. But for your agency, what you want to do here is you just want to start by understanding this starts with your positioning over here. So if the pain point over here is if you're saying, all right, I'm going to help dentists get more leads, then all you have to do is you say, okay, the pain point here is that dentists need more leads. How do we get them to, 50 leads per month, however way you want to get to? You need to define what you'll do for them. Number one is that most dentists probably have no landing pages. So you got to set up a landing page. You got to set up some sort of paid traffic for them, right? Some sort of traffic source to get to the landing page with their offer. And then part 3 is probably set up some sort of email or follow-up sequence. Those 3 things right there. If you execute that, do you feel like that would take them from 0 leads to 50 leads per month? Well, if you're good at it and you got that service productized, then yeah, absolutely you can. So this is all about this. It's very overly simplified. I understand that, but I promise you, if you are struggling, it's because you're trying to do too much and you need to step back and simplify things. It's very simple, guys. Who are we servicing? What is their pain point? And how do we get them to where they need to be? If you can do that, I promise you, you can craft a beautiful offer for your customers. So off the back of that, what we want to do is we want to craft what's called an offer statement. This offer statement is kind of like your elevator pitch. Again, this is how you communicate what value you service to your market. So we call this an offer statement. So for example, if we were looking at Chris Dry and rankings.io, we help personal injury attorneys get new client cases by ranking them first in Google. So you want to have 3 things in your offer statement. Number 1, who's it for? Personal injury attorneys. What do they want? They want new client cases. How do they get it? By ranking them first in Google. So this is an important distinction here too, right? I purposely chose the verbiage ranking them first in Google because I know from working with Chris one-on-one that attorneys have a feeling within them that it's not about traffic per se. It's about ranking number 1 in Google. Why? Because lawyers have massive egos and they hate seeing competitors be number 1. They feel like being number 1 is bragging rights. They feel like being number 1 makes them feel a certain type of way. So we want to communicate that. And this changes, again, based on your position. It's all about knowing who your position is and who the person is there and what they're feeling. Again, these are things that we will work through you with. We've got an amazing workbook template to help you really dig into really these feelings of what your customers are feeling. Again, because understanding how to speak their language is a part of your position. Understanding what their pain points is a part of your position. Their pain points, what they're feeling is they hate being number 3. They hate being number 2. They want to be number 1. So of course we want to play on that, right? That's to our benefit to do so. So this is the offer statement and just a little bit of psychology. Again, these are things that we work through with our clients one-on-one to really help you get this dialed in, because it's so important for all this stuff that we're going to talk about after this. So again, this is just kind of another action workbook that we have for our Blueprint Platinum clients. We basically help you, again, dig into how to build your offer. We'll work with you one-on-one to make sure that you can get that flushed out and that it really effectively communicates what your position is and plays on those pain points of your target customer. So that was pillar number one, positioning. Pillar number two is productization. So productization is all about taking something that's complex, that is your service, and boiling it down into very simple processes so it's scalable and repeatable. Why does this matter? Well, it streamlines service delivery, reduces costs, redundancies. We talked about this a little bit before, positioning too, because they go hand in hand. And it reduces headaches. I promise you, if you are servicing the same type of client and then you can build a service that you can do over and over and over again, you now know exactly who you're targeting. And now you've got the exact solution for them that's scalable, repeatable, and it becomes much easier to deliver. It becomes easier to hire for. There's less roles. You have a highly specialized workforce. It's the easiest route to results. Again, if you're doing the same thing over and over again, you can't argue with me that it's going to be easier to get results. You can pull yourself out of operations. You see a lot of consistencies here too with what we talked about positioning. Why? Because they go hand in hand. There's a reason why these pillars are stuck together, because they are congruent. They are consistent. They are the building blocks and the foundation of building a frictionless business. And of course, a lot of you are always interested in automation, but you can't automate a business if you don't have processes. If you don't have scalable, repeatable, well-defined processes, automation will be a waste of your time and it will actually break your business, not make it easier. So what are some of the elements of productized service? I like to standardize everything. Pricing is standardized. The team is standardized. Training is standardized. Proposals are standardized. Sales is standardized. And your tools or automation is standardized. So again, when we talked about our agency moving to this SEO sprint model, what we were able to do is standardize pricing, right? Standardized pricing meaning that we now charge based on the number of URLs on the website and the number of output that they're getting. So it's not a matter of hours that's going into it. It's just a matter of level of effort and then also the output that they're getting for what we're working on. Again, I already talked about how we only have two roles at the agency now. When it comes to service delivery, we have a content specialist and we have an SEO specialist. We also have sales and we have a PM, but when it comes to the operations, it's really just content and SEO specialists, and it's super easy to hire and train them. Again, because we've only got like 4 things that we're doing for clients. We've got these very simple sprints that are very well processized. We've got standardized deliverables. They're not asked to create anything custom. They're just running the same thing, just like this. They're building the sandwich over and over and over again. And this is my favorite part too, proposals and sales. Like we used to put together these crazy proposals that would take like 2 weeks. Now we're able to standardize that into a very simple analysis because we're not pitching anything outside of what we're selling. We're selling them a productized service. So all we have to do is prove to them that the productized service is what they need to solve their problems, which is much easier than having to throw a bunch of spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And when it comes to proposal, so our proposal time is cut down from like 2 to 3 weeks to like 1 to 2 days, and we're able to shorten our sales cycle and also hire a sales team that's much easier to have conversations about a productized service as opposed to like some crazy custom SEO service that's like super complicated and this type of stuff. That's why so many SEO agencies struggles, because y'all can't build a sales team because you're trying to sell some crazy shit that you think people need, but they really don't. They want something simple. They care about the output. They don't care about what goes into the sandwich. They care about how it tastes. And then of course, tools and automation as well that just help you to streamline and automate this. So let's talk quickly about our SEO sprint model that we developed. So we went back to the drawing board again and we said, okay, people don't really want 12-month contracts right now. Why? Because the market is unstable. They don't even know if they're going to have a business in 12 months, and they don't want to be locked into a long-term contract in the middle of a pandemic in an unsure market where we don't know where it's going. So instead, we understand that people still need SEO. They still want it. It's still a core part of what's going to make their business go forward. So what we did is we unpackaged that 12-month project plan and we just turned it into sprints. Baseline sprint is our technical sprint. Foundational sprint is basically going to be keyword research and on-page. Growth sprint is going to be content marketing, where we're delivering them content topics. And then promotional sprint is just link building. So these 4 things, what we were able to do is chunk these out into what are now productized service offerings that we're able to deliver one of these, or we're able to deliver many of these and still actually increase revenue throughout it. But so one of the things that we really had to unpack with our sprints was the economics of it, because basically what you see up top here was our standard 12-month retainer, right? We were charging between $4,000 and $6,000 per month over a 12-month retainer, which was giving us a yearly value revenue of $48,000, but a quarterly value of $12,000. The challenges with a 12-month retainer, though, is that there was a constant need for monthly work and resource allocation, dealing with client headaches, constant requests, the feeling that they felt like because they were paying on an ongoing basis that they could just ping us for whatever that they wanted. And then also issues with collections and late payments. This is a very heavily slept on thing by agencies, is that you sign a 12-month contract and then people pay when they feel like they get around to it, which leaves a ton of money uncollected for work that you've already done. So you're basically losing money for a lot of your contracts and you probably don't even know it. So what we want to do is we wanted to shift the paradigm very heavily. In the sprint model, what we wanted to do was we wanted to be able to offer something that was more affordable, right? With less obligation during COVID in the market going forward without compromising our revenue. And we wanted to actually make more. So when you look at these compared here, you look at this and this feels like a no-brainer, like, oh, 48K over 12, of course. But over here, what we have is our average sprint model, right? We usually collect between 12 and 18K per average sprint contract, or sprint agreement, if you will. So the project total here is 16. The yearly revenue is only 16, but the quarterly revenue is also 16, right? So you can see that we're actually collecting $4,000 more over here quarterly. But what's even better about this is that the work is easier to plan delivered because we don't need to build a project plan. It's just already done. And they know what they're getting up front. It's very transparent. It's very open. There's a potential also for more revenue down the line. There's a ton of back-end offers that we're able to offer. Just because we only do 3 sprints here doesn't mean that we can't do 3 more here, or even renew them quarterly, renew them yearly, whatever it is, whatever's best for the client, right? And what I really love about it though too is it's more cash collected in a shorter period of time. At the end of the day, I tell us to our coaching clients all the time, it's not about how much money you have contracts, it's about how much money you have collected. Because at the end of the day, there's, when we looked at our agency that I sold into, we're looking at sometimes $250,000 to $500,000 of uncollected revenue at year end. That's a problem, a huge problem. Again, especially when the more people that you have, the more people that you're paying. You as a business owner are paying these people to do work, but you're not getting compensated by the client for it. Being under contract doesn't mean shit. Like dealing with uncollected payments is a real thing. So with our sprints, we collect the cash up front before we start the work. And I know you can try and do that here, but when you're 6 months into a contract and you're already doing the work, you already have a month plan, you're already on the way with things, you're already having a conversation with clients, you feel like they're good for it. I'm telling you that money goes uncollected. So this yearly revenue actually here, when you look at the percentages of how much cash is actually collected versus what you have contracted, we're talking about sometimes 25 to 30% less. So this is actually 25 to 30% less in the quarterly revenue as well, whereas this is all collected up front. So again, you see how we went back to the drawing board and looked at what we had, and we wanted to shift the paradigm that was actually in our favor and took the power back for us while still offering a much better option and service for clients, still getting the same work, getting it faster, and ultimately not having to pay as much as they think they're paying, but really collecting more cash for us up front. So it was really a win-win, which is very rare in this business, for us to be able to better service our clients and also grow and increase our business at the same time. So productizing your service is quite a bit of work. So again, this is something that we work with our coaching clients on one-on-one. We have a very kind of simple way to do so by mapping services using like mind mapping software. So what we do is we have a process to dissect everything that you're doing. So again, it starts with your position, right? Who are you servicing? What do they need? What pain points are they having? You go through the offer design, the offer mapping to determine what roadblocks and what pillars you're actually going to solve for those clients. And then you start by just taking these pillars and then kind of expunging them out, just breaking them out as best as you can. And then we work with our clients to turn each one of these into very detailed SOPs. The SOPs then become kind of the backbone of your service that you're then able to go out and hire and then just push training people through it to review the SOPs and then really pass those SOPs off to those people for them to own them and continuously improve them over time. So your job as a business owner and the agency owner is to kind of get the framework set up and then hire people to maintain and continuously improve it. So again, it's much easier to have them focus on a process to improve as opposed to being like, here, go do SEO or like go do link building for this client. They're going to be like, what? How do I do that? How do I do that? But if you have a very specific process for them to do, then over time, assuming that they're engaged in their job and they like what they're doing, then they're going to constantly look at ways that's going to be like, we can do this more efficiently. There's a new thing that I found that we can, get better results for here. So you're really working through your team to improve the quality of your service without you having to do it. But you can't get there if you don't go through this mind mapping and SOP process, which is a ton of work. Very few agencies do this. So again, you can partner with us one-on-one to help you go through this process and make sure that you get it done at your agency. And finally, we come to the final pillar, marketing. Now, y'all already know because you are here watching this video because at some point you saw some of my marketing, whether that was a blog post, a guest post on a podcast, video from YouTube, or an ad from Facebook. It's all part of the plan. And it works. The problem with marketing that a lot of agencies have is that they don't have the time to do it. It's kind of a wish list. Like it's almost ironic too. You sell marketing services, but you don't market yourself. And I get it. It's really, really hard to do that because of the amount of time it takes to do marketing. You already got other million things going on. But if you are able to align those first two pillars that we talked about, and if you have a really good, strong positioning, then marketing is easy because it is all about speaking to those simple pain points that your target customers have. You don't have to go crazy and get cell phones in your face and everything like Gary Vee. It's not necessary for where you are right now. Let's talk about this framework. There's two parts that go into it. Number one is creating something that resonates with your prospect and their pain points, right? So generally speaking, that means content. On top of that, we need to get that content in front of our target audience. And we need to do that. We need to understand where they're hanging out in order to do that. Again, I'm not telling you to get on every single channel. I'm telling you to figure out a very simple couple pieces of content that we know your target customer would love to see, and then putting that content in front of them where they hang out. So I look at content just like I would look at any sort of traditional marketing. We have top funnel, mid funnel, and bottom funnel. And there's pieces of content that map to each parts of those funnel, right? What's example of top funnel? This is all value adding content, blog posts, YouTube videos, social media shorts, podcast episodes, all the top funnel stuff that's very value adding to your audience. That's part one of the content we need to create. Part two is mid funnel content, which is mainly going to be case studies, right? Taking what you've done for clients, documenting that, and then pushing it back out to your audiences that you built. This is going to go a very long way to get them excited, help them understand more about what you do, and also entice them to want to work with you. And then bottom funnel here is really just about creating some content around our offer. So things like a webinar, a free analysis, things along that line that are focused on our offer for folks that are much deeper in the buying funnel, that are aware of us, they know what we do, and they're on the verge of working with us, but they need a push. We need to bring them into our ecosystem. After that, it's just about taking this content and promoting it, but also understanding that content from different stages in the funnel needs to be promoted at different places. So let's talk a little bit more about promotion. Let's break this down. What goes into promotion? Again, I follow a very simple model here that's taught in traditional marketing school: owned, earned, and paid. Owned channels being email, social media, right? Those are channels that you own that you can build over time. Earned channels would be something like search, right? You don't own search, you have to earn your place in search to rank for SEO. And then also things like mentions, right? So a guest post, or being featured on somebody's podcast, or being featured in a PR article. Those are earned placements that we can work on building. And the final is paid. So again, I'm just going to simplify this and say, just for now, we're going to focus on Facebook ads. So again, I'm trying to simplify all these things. I don't want to tell you, I could go out and say, for paid, there's Facebook ads, there's YouTube ads, there's Twitter ads, there's search ads, there's TikTok ads. I don't want to do all that. I just want to simplify this and just give you the most basic model that's going to lead you to where you want to go, which is driving market awareness and ultimately driving leads to your agency. Feeding right into that is a concept that I have been talking about a little bit throughout the previous videos, and that's congruency, staying congruent across your business. So again, we've already gone through your positioning. We've selected that. We've worked on it. We've built your offer. Then that goes into your product, right? Your service, your productized solution. These two things need to be congruent, right? What it is you're offering and then what it is you're delivering. Very straightforward. The same concept apply for marketing. This is really just about taking what your position is, who your core customer is, what their pain points are, what your product is, and then turning this into a marketing message that we can then take, create content around, and then go out and promote, right? So you see this level of congruency. So for example, if we're looking at Weber's, our agency, we're doing these sprints. Our offer is sprints, our productized service is sprints. We're not going to go out and we're not going to talk about Facebook ads or lead generation using anything else but SEO. We're going to focus not just on SEO, but still the core pain points that we built our productized service around and who that person's for. So like I said, we usually focus on trying to attract companies that have an internal marketing team or a manager. So again, if we look at that type of persona, what type of content is going to attract them to us? What's going to entice them to want to learn more about us? So we've really got to go back to understanding who that core person is, what their pain points are, and then being able to craft content around that can speak to them and bring them into our ecosystem. So we're going to blow this out a lot more. I'm just really pushing these concepts to you again, over and over again, because if you're struggling with some of this stuff, I want you to ask yourself, am I congruent? Is my offer, my productized service, and my marketing, are they all in line? If they're not in line, then that's where things are broken. And now you've got a very simple system to understand where it's broken, go in and make the fixes yourself, and then see the results. instead of keeping you here for the next 4 hours, I'm going to cut this down and just kind of give you the hitting points of what you need to do to execute this strategy. Again, this is something that we talk about very detailed and hands-on in Platinum. I'll actually work with you one-on-one to build a marketing strategy, something that's executable for you and for your agency. I will turn you into a savage when it comes to marketing you and your agency. But anyways, let's talk about a few things right here. So when it comes to content and promotion, so number one is really about your website, right? Because that's where all the point of conversions are going to have. Your website is a very important piece of your marketing. Now, I know a lot of folks want to go out there and throw up a million services pages and all this crazy stuff. Like, you don't need that. The simpler, the better here. What we actually teach in Platinum is a 3 to 5 page website. The 3 pages that you need are a homepage, results page, and you need some sort of macro conversion page, like a contact page. The way that we run it on our website is we have a strategy call. That's our macro conversion page. The other 2 pages that you really need are going to be a blog and then also a micro conversion page. So micro conversion is the equivalent of a front end marketing offer, because what we want to do with our offer that we talked about, we help lawyers do X, Y, and Z. We want to put together a micro piece of content that we can gate and then run traffic to them to get them to opt in for it. Old school marketing, it still works, but it works really well when you've got your position figured out, you know what their pain point is, and you're able to create a piece of content around that will entice them to bring them into your ecosystem. Aside from that, you don't need anything else, because your homepage and your results page, your homepage is going to be all about who you help and how you help them, and then the results of that, and your results page is going to be results. Aside from that, what do people need? Again, when we're talking about stripping things down and simplifying things, you don't need to go crazy building a website. In fact, you just need to focus on the core pages and make those the best as humanly possible. The next part is coming up with content topic ideas for all 3 stages of the funnel, right? So top, mid, and then bottom funnel content. It's all going to be important. And this is where you are going to have to put in most of the time. You know, I'll spend probably 4 hours a quarter coming up with content topics idea. I'll just brainstorm them into our content topic sheet, and I'll work with a writer to make sure that they get created, and then I'll film the videos for myself. Now, the final piece of content is actually creating the content, right? So we got a place for it to live on your website. We got the content topic ideas. Now it's time to put pen to paper, if you will, or hit the record button and start creating this content. So I personally, my style of creating content is video first. I'll create the video because it's easy for me to get on here, build a small deck, and then talk to it. It's a skill set that I've built over the years. You can build it too. I used to be the hugest introvert. And now look at me, Mom, I'm on camera. It's crazy. I know it really does blow her mind when she sees me, but I did what I had to do to grow and build my business. I knew that video was going to drastically help us, so I bit the bullet and I figured it out. Anyone can do it. Same thing with writing, guys. I was like a C student in high school, but I started writing these monster blog posts because I knew that they were going to get me customers and make me money. So it's a skill set that you got to learn, right? So figure out a way that you can create content, or hire someone to do it for you. I've hired a writer. We pay him $3,000 a month. He does really, really good content for us. He probably writes between 3 and 5 pages, depending on what he has on his plate. He's a contractor, and it's awesome. I haven't written a blog post in years, but I'm willing to invest that money into it because I understand that off our content, we're making way more than $3,000 a month. Content is an investment into the process. It is the vehicle, it is the glue, it is the medium that's going to take cold traffic and turn it into warm and then hot traffic. You need content, so you got to get it created. So we work with you on Platinum to figure that out as well. And then when it comes to promotion, what we want to do is, because we've got all these content topics now, again, that are focused on solving problems for our core customer, we want to chop that up so we can get the most use out of it, right? So, for example, if you're doing a webinar on the 3 pillars of agency growth, this is one piece of content. I can then take this and turn this into 3 blog posts. I got a blog post on positioning, I got a blog post on productization, and I got a blog post on agency marketing. I can then take those and do YouTube videos off of those too, which I've already done. I can then take those and I can cut them up and turn them into tweets. I can cut them and turn them up and put them on LinkedIn, right? So you can take this one piece of content, this one topic, really this topic model of content, and then distribute it to multiple platforms. So the other thing too that's really, really important is copywriting. I feel like it's a skill set that every marketer should learn, and I'm calling you a marketer because you own a marketing agency. Copy is just really, really good to be able to promote your own stuff on the fly, to write good tweets, to write good LinkedIn posts. If you have to outsource all that, it not only gets expensive, but it gets in a gray area if it's working. You got to be in the moment on a lot of social media stuff, writing a LinkedIn post a week or something like that, writing emails to your list, even just writing sales copy and building landing pages. It's a huge skill to have. So that's a big part of what we work with and coach on. And then the final part is setting up paid traffic funnels. Now, I know a lot of you out there are either been burned by paid traffic in the past, you don't think it works, or maybe you don't have the budget to invest in it. I am here to tell you that it works. Do you like that dramatic pause there? I had to let that sink in. You are probably here because of some form of paid traffic, whether you know it or not, right? We've gotten content in front of you in one way or another, and now you're here, you opted in, now you're watching this, and if you're watching this far, then that's really good for us, right? So paid traffic works. It's a tremendous way to not only generate direct leads, but also build the brand. It's a great way to reach out. It's pretty much the most scalable way to get cold audiences or new people, eyeballs on your business. You got to pay for traffic. So that's something that I highly recommend that you do. And again, it's something that we work one-on-one with to help our coaching and consulting clients within the blueprint set up their Facebook ads. Like, we pluck leads off of Facebook ads every single month, between 10 and 20, really, really, really good leads. And we're spending like $3,000 to $5,000. It's completely worth it. And we will work with you one-on-one to get those set up. So what's next? If you've watched this far in the video, you already know that there's a pitch coming, but hopefully you've watched this far because you understand that we have good information to provide and we can help you out. So below this video, there is a button. That button will take you directly to my calendar or one of my growth advisors' calendar. We are waiting to have a 15 to 30 minute talk, as much time as you can give us, to talk about you, to talk about your agency, your business, your practice, and what is stopping you in your mind from getting to the next level. We will then take this model that we just showed you and how we can apply it to your business. You're free to take that information and go grow. It's just a conversation. However, if you're interested in partnering with us more, we do have a coaching and consulting program specifically for agencies, especially SEO agencies. We help you take these frameworks and other frameworks, hiring frameworks, building a sales team. We help you take these frameworks and apply them directly to your agency. And then we're there to work with you one-on-one via Zoom, as much or as little as you want. So if that sounds good to you, there's a button below, hit it, and I look forward to hearing from you and hopefully talking to you soon.